50-40-10.
I'm sorry?
50-40-10, isn't that the deal?
That's what you're on.
I think that's what I think it is.
Well, his is not,
Had the
his is only
developer,
40 and 36.
had a developer other than the school come along and wanted to do a subdivision on the other side of that road, Dave agreed to 40% he doesn't even need
36 feet.
on 36 feet. And if the developer come and we determined we needed 42 feet, the developer on the other side would pay all of that. All of it. That's how, I mean, I don't think we're treating the school unfair. We're trying to, we've got this code citywide and everyone else is expected to do certain things. They would pay all of it, just so you know.
They generally are doing it for commercial purpose and they earn money.
But they're doing it because they're building a street that we don't need and they do.
Public, for public purpose.
Well, then they're paying it, aren't they? The point is, the developer pays it all. In other cases, the developer pays what Dave doesn't, all of it.
So what are you asking?
Well, you've offered 10, I don't know.
No, 50.
50, I mean, that we pay 10. I'm just saying we never do.
And perhaps this is one of those times.
I thought that was already the deal.
Were you doing that before we came?
I think he's talking about the extra 10 feet. Who's going to pay the extra 10 feet?
Yes, but it wasn't going to be, so it's going to be that future developer. Okay?
But isn't that agreement already, help us understand the agreement that you signed in September,
But we
October,
weren't going to
whenever
require
it
that.
was.
We weren't requiring that road to be built until the development needed it. Okay, and now the development needs it, and you're the one that's bringing that development that needs it. That's where we're coming from.
Not to be contradictory, but
Okay.
the property to the south was in the Chandler Dam. We never anticipated that that property would develop in the city and access that
It was
roadway.
the development on the.
Because the property was already developed in 5-acre lots. So when we entered into agreement with Millstream, it was with the understanding the city would pay 60% and Millstream would pay 40%. And the
So
school
nobody
has,
would access it, really.
that was what was expected based on how the property was configured at the time and what jurisdiction the property was in.
Okay.
So if we pay the 50% of the larger road, would that still be less of an impact for your 60% that you were going to pay? Is that a fair question?
I don't have a number right in front of me, but
I would assume it would be less, but I don't know if you were paying 60% of the 36 to 44 foot road, and now we come in and we're going to pay 50% of a 54 foot road. I would think that would be a less of an impact on the city's budget. I mean, I would hope that it would be. Do you see what I'm saying? If we're, because you know.
I'm going to suggest that.
I would hope, you know, and that would help both of us out. We could do our 50% of 54-foot road, is that right?
no, let me tell you how it would break down. For the first 36 feet, as kind of proposed in the smart staff report, the district would pay 50%, the Millstream would pay 40%, and the city would pay 10%.
Right.
For the portion from 36 to 46,
44.
well, for the
36 to 44.
okay, 36 to 44 would be 100% school district.
Oh, no, that would be the city. 36 to 44.
Okay, 36 to 44 is 100% city impact fees, and then if it had to be wider than 44 to 54, 100% school district for that last 10 feet.
That's pretty confusing.
That's probably.
What was that last part? What was the last part, Mark?
44 to 54 was going to be paid by
Schools.
schools.
That's
Okay,
right.
well, that would probably be cheaper than us doing 50%.
But see, Mr. Nelson, weren't you already agreed to build the road when it came?
Yeah, the plan for us building the road is we would go out and make 3 bids. We took it on as part of the development agreement because we know you're all going to benefit for us doing it that way. We're going to do it a lot cheaper than you would have to do it. So we do it as part of our development agreement. We would get the 3 best bids, we'd come show them to you, you get to choose which one you like, and because we have the ability to get on the job right now, once you choose the price, as long as you're comfortable with us being able to do it, and that's what we negotiated, then we would do it. But we're not trying to say, you're just gonna take our word for it and do it for our price. We'll go out and get bids, and then we'll come back and we'll do it. And part of that will be breaking down our portion of the 36-foot road, or the 44, or the 55, or 54. And that would all be broken down ahead of time. We'd all know exactly what the dollar amounts were, before we put the first shovel in. We've already got equipment there. If you need the staging for getting access, we don't have to stage again, just because we're in the middle of the process of building our own expansion, so it would cut down on the fee there. That's kind of the way I see it happening.
Well, I'd appreciate getting the bids, right, as soon as possible, so that we can break it down and know what we're getting into there.
Okay, so we weren't planning on getting on that to the fall because we were going to build it, but I'm not going to put Robert under the pressure right here of him telling me when. But if you want us to start that bidding process, some of that will be contingent since it's 90 days out, and the pavement is strictly really volatile based upon oil prices. Okay, so that part of the deal would have to be very flexible, or flexible based upon what oil prices are at the time that this was to be constructed. Because the plan was to not construct it until the school had done most of their major heavy work, so that they're not destroying. Yeah, it was summer of 17.
Yes,
was the
we
plan.
understand that, yeah, we're fine.
So the bid
We
would
can
really
access it
be
without
reflective,
going around.
because you don't want to put the road into
No,
a
no,
nice spring.
We want to do it after, the heavy equipment needs to go down that road and get in there and get to work, and then put the road in the following year. That's something that we had talked to Mr. Nelson about as a possibility. So that makes sense in terms of during the construction process.
So getting bids now is not.
So getting bids now doesn't, because they're not going to be good. They're good for what, 30, 60 days at most? Yeah, so it has to come later.
How do we get a cost estimate, right? How do we know what kind of figures we're talking
If we could go
about?
to the
You're at
means book,
50%.
you have off the means, you'd be able to come up with a rough idea.
Yeah.
Let's get an engineer's cost estimate from Paul Bird.
As the framework for the agreement, I think what I'm hearing is, pays is 40% of 36 feet, and the city pays the rest of it up to the 10 feet, and we pay, school district pays all of the 10 feet.
And that's what matters right now, is the percentages.
Right.
Yeah, the price is what it is.
Yeah, that's all.
And so put together a deal, I don't see that, I think everybody's
That
happy.
bid, yeah.
Part is not proposed in there.
Well, one distinction is initially it was school 50, we 10, and Millstream 40.
And that's on the first 36
For the
feet.
first 36 feet.
That's right.
And on top of that, I was anticipating maybe the school would pay for the extra 10 feet if we widen the road. So you would
That
have,
changed during this discussion.
well,
This is what,
that's what I need to know, is, are you saying we don't pay anything on the initial 36, we just pay for the extra 10 feet?
Have Mr. Snowday state.
this is what I heard you say. The first 36 feet would be divided in percentages this way.
Yes.
50 to the school,
Yep.
or 50,
That's right.
right, 40 to Millstream, and 10 to the city.
That's right.
Then, if you go 36 to 44, the city would pay 100% of that.
And who does this?
And then the school would pay 100% of anything 44 to 54.
Yeah,
Right, okay.
that's right.
So I don't think we're disagreeing. I think it's just a matter of putting it together and moving on.
Yeah, you're paying essentially for 28 feet of asphalt.
Let Paul Bird,
40% of 36 and 100% of 10.
No, it's 36 feet of
And
asphalt.
50% of 36.
They'd be paying for half of 36, which is...
so you're right. 28 feet.
Plus 10.
Part of the problem here is that we need little staff time, the city council time to work this out.
Okay.
All of these percentages and everything, frankly,
I think we all understand. Our
right,
staff's all
but that we don't have the numbers. all of this was worked out prior to
I'm trying to understand.
anyone coming to the city legislators. And I was kind of dressed down for addressing that issue, but, you know, there's state legislation now passed to recognize that when schools are gonna do these things, people affected need to know.
I thought we had those meetings. I personally sat in two of them.
Several meetings, you
Last
just weren't
year.
on the council. We met with your staff.
I asked that, you met with staff.
That's
Okay.
our problem as a city, that staff.
And the mayor knew about it. It's not, it was, I don't think it was a surprise to you guys that our staffs had met with your staffs. And until you get down to making an agreement, we usually don't sit at a table and haggle. We have professionals that do this for a living. I'm not a road professional and you guys aren't road professionals. And so we were letting our professionals deal with your professionals, and I thought we were close to some agreements.
And our staff, the school will recommend to us and we'll make a decision. So don't think we're disagreeing.
Okay.
Well, I think there is a little bit of disagreement there though, because you're saying that we never came to you.
When did you meet with the Heber City Council?
If we meet
To
with
ask
your
the
staff,
people
with
to-
what you
No,
just
no, no.
said, you just said, if we meet with your staff, you take recommendations from your staff.
But they don't decide, we're the
But you
legislature.
take recommendations from them,
We
right?
consider them.
That's what we did.
We may make a different policy.
That's what we did.
And we didn't
But they
pass our
never
funds.
brought,
And
just
that's your staff. That's
simple
not
question,
us.
just simple question. And I'll just let it go. When did the school ever come to the Heber City Council?
Can we do that before we bond?
Before we passed the
And you
bond.
came to the Heber City Council and asked to hook on our sewer?
Before we bond? Why would we do
After
that?
the bond was approved.
Well, if you haven't done it, then we still
We
debate whether we're gonna give it
did
to
come
you.
after the bond was approved, then we came, but prior to that, we were having discussions with staff, leading up to the bond vote. That was happening.
May I just say, the way the state law works, it says when a school district finds a piece of property and decides it's going to build a school on it, then it notifies the affected entities, and then they can invite whatever participation they want. They then ask whatever they want to hear from the school, because the school district is kind of, it has certain different rules that apply to it than to other developers. It can build where it wants, it doesn't have to do inspections through the normal permitting process. But so the statute, I'm pretty sure that, because I drafted the notice, that we complied promptly with every part of the law that we were supposed to do to notify both the mayor and city council of Heber and the mayor and city council of Daniel of this project the minute we identified it as the project we were going to move forward
Are
with.
you familiar with SB 68 of this year?
I don't.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. You don't know.
Well,
You don't know what I'm talking about.
If it's this year, it doesn't apply till May
I
of this
know it
year.
doesn't.
So
I know
I'm
it
dealing with the law that's in effect when we're doing
I
the project.
understand that.
But when we bought that property and identified that that's where we were going to change locations, we did speak with the people we were supposed to speak with. And you were not on the council. I think other council members were aware that there was talk that we were going to put the school there. And we did make those inroads and those efforts. I'm sorry that you weren't aware of those, but as an unelected official, you wouldn't have been aware of those.
That's right. But
So I'm,
it's the answer to the question that you went to staff but never did approach city
Jeff was in
council.
those meetings.
So
I'm just asking.
I sat in meetings with both mayors.
let me just
Let them know.
So we did come to the city council after the bond had been approved. That's the first time we would have come to the city council because the bond passed, we knew we were building the school, and we came to the city council.
That's what we. So we appreciate the effort that's being made now to work on
But
a
it's,
timeline to make it
again,
all
we're
work.
addressing that. It's just a window we're struggling to, but it takes time for when you ask to resolve all these things.
Well, there's been a lot of effort made, and there is a lot by you and your staff and by us and Mr. Byrd and lots of people. So let's be grateful for the effort that's being made, and let's figure out, it sounds like we're so darn close on all these issues to having an agreement or a process for getting a resolution that some of those questions don't matter at this point. Comply with the law, and so we do, and we're trying to make it happen. Let's do it.
Okay. Are we ready to talk about sewer?
I hope so.